everybody. Welcome to another Mortgage Coach Tuesday. Every single Tuesday, we're dedicated to making you a better coach, a better advisor to both clients and realtors leveraging technology. My name is Dave Savage, CEO of Mortgage Coach, and if you are on this call, you are either one of America's best loan officers or you're striving to be the best loan officer you can be. So a couple of weeks ago, I asked everybody to read this. I just want to remind everybody, if you haven't already read this LinkedIn post that I put up, go to LinkedIn. We'll put a link in chat where I talked about how technology is disrupting the mortgage space right now. And I also talked about some strategies that you can implement. And I even put interviews to loan officers that I've interviewed around strategies to just completely crush it in today's market. So from a mortgage coach perspective, we're different than every other loan officer out there. The typical loan officer, when they deliver rates, fees, pre-qualifications, they do it with a fee worksheet. We don't believe at Mortgage Coach that's the best way to educate a family. We don't think it's the best way for a first-time home buyer to make a decision on, is this the right house? Is this the right time to buy? Should I buy now or should I wait? This is how we roll at Mortgage Coach. Family gets graphs and charts. They understand, hey, what happens if rates go up 0.5%? What happens if values go up 3%? You know, what is that? What's the dollarized difference 3 years from now, 5 years from now? So the family can make that better decision. This is Jay Crow in the Seattle market, being a coach to a family. Family comes in, helps them make a better decision. This is Kelly Zillow in Scottsdale. Family comes into her office, they get advice, not price. So that is the game at Mortgage Coach. It's using our mobile devices to educate. It's using our mobile devices to help families make better decisions. Edutech, as you say. So I love doing calls like today. You know, at Mortgage Coach, we want to help you as a mortgage professional better implement our technology. So we do training every single day of the week. This will be recorded. So this is the Tuesday interview. It will be recorded. It will be in our YouTube channel. And today we've got 3 amazing guests. First, I've got Mr. Dan Keller to help me co-host today's call. What's up, Dan?
Hey, what's going on, Dave and Mortgage Coach Tribe? Glad to be here.
Brother, it's good to have you. So those of you who know Dan Keller, he's one of America's top loan officers. If you could go ahead and click your video and join me on stage here, Dan. Where are you?
I am coming in right about now. You got me?
All right. We got you. On the East Coast, we have one of America's top realtors. We have Tina Beliveau. Tina, if you could click, share your screen, join us on stage.
Rockstar.
What's up, Tina? Good to see you. Dan and I both met Tina a couple of years ago at Sales Mastery. She was on stage at Sales Mastery talking about how she uses Facebook as an expert, how she built her real estate practice. Tina, real quick, what kind of production are you doing as a realtor? And give us just a few minutes on your strategy. We don't hear you, Tina. Let's make sure you are unmuted. Are you unmuted? Okay, try again, Tina, right now.
How about now?
You're unmuted.
Sorry about that. So my team, the Beliveau Group, we're affiliated with Keller Williams Legacy in Baltimore, Maryland, and we are projected to close $40 million in volume this year, approximately 150 transactions. Our business is 85% repeat referral and people who know us, and the balance of it mostly comes from online reviews that stem from that. So we are heavily focused on service, referrals, and creating value for our clients, and have been since the inception of the team.
Love it. Well, I'm looking forward to hearing how you're using Facebook. I have some examples. I'll pull them up when we have that conversation. Nicole, Solari, if you could join us, put on your monitor and join us here on stage. What's up, Nicole?
Hello. Can you guys hear me okay?
We can hear you. So I interviewed Tina a couple times last year. Those interviews are available on our YouTube channel. I've interviewed Nicole a few times this year, And Bill Hart did a great interview of Nicole. And that interview was very intentional around, here's a great interview to share with your realtors. It was like realtor to realtor interview. So Nicole, if you could tell us a little bit about what market you're in, a little bit about your production, and then we'll get into some big ideas.
Awesome, yeah. So I'm in Northern California in Napa, Solano County. Right now we have closed 72 million year to date, and we're on track to do close to 109 million.
Kill and I know open houses are a big part of your strategy, and that's a big part of how you got started.
Yeah, absolutely. Huge strategy for the entire team, and that's really how I got my footing in the business.
Love it, love it. Well, we're gonna unpack your open house strategy. Both of these realtor professionals have built teams, and they're continuing to scale their teams. So feel free to bring that in. Dan Keller and I are gonna, kind of do the core interview, and then Tina, we welcome you to ask questions, and you two go back and forth as much as you want. And then as an audience, you can submit your questions in the webinar here. Every single question will be read. Whether or not we have time to get to it, maybe we will, maybe we won't, but put your questions in, and even if we don't get to it here, we'll bring them into future conversations, and we'll make sure they get answered. So Nicole, let's start with you. We know your production. If you could just describe what open houses mean to you, the kind of results you got from them. Also, make sure you mention when you just got started the business like 4 years ago, I think a lot of people will resonate with how you used open houses, and then how you're doing it today. And then, like I said, Tina and Dan, let's mastermind, and let's unpack as much of this as we can over the next 20 minutes here.
Yeah, so I'm 3.5 years young in the business. Just got my broker's license because I just became eligible. And how I really got my footing in the business was through the open houses and the strategy around open houses. When I got it started, I would go to people that I admired, and I was like, how are you doing? Like, what are you doing? And they're like, oh, I'm working my sphere of influence and referrals and asking my past clients for referrals. And I'm like, but what if you didn't have any past clients? What would you do? They'd be like, well, I'd go ask my past clients. And I'm like, no, what if you didn't have any? And so I figured out early on the best way to immediately connect with people is in person. And how you're going to do that is holding open houses. So I would sit up and hold 4 or 5 open houses a week, sometimes more. But I held myself to a minimum standard of at least 4 open houses. And it wasn't just your traditional Saturday, Sunday morning open houses. I did what I called Wacky Wednesdays, which is middle of the day open houses when kids get out of school early here in our county. And I would capture people, picking up their kids early. I would do Thursday Twilight. Thursday's the new Friday. We would serve champagne and hors d'oeuvres and catch people on their way home from work. Works especially well in the summer months. So doing that, I ended up getting very busy very fast, and I had about a conversion rate of about 30%. So for every 100 people that walked through my open house, I would help about 30 of those families find homes. And a lot of them had the same objections that you get with internet leads, that you get with typical open houses. I already have a realtor, or I'm just looking, or there's no way I can afford. And I just found that being there in person and giving them the tools to be able to show them what I can actually provide as a realtor in this modern day and age, that they ended up purchasing with me. And that's how we are on track to do, close to 300 homes this year.
Wow. Tina, any questions come to mind for Nicole?
Not right at this second, but I'll come up with one shortly.
All right. Dan, what about you? Anything come to mind at this point?
Yeah, so Nicole, part of my business is working with bigger real estate agent teams, probably like both of you guys, and bigger teams bring on younger or new real estate agents. And so what I'm finding out up here in Seattle is there's pretty much zero training for what to do at an open house, how to host it, how to script, how to dress, how to put out the signs, all of that good stuff. What are a couple of tips that you have for, just thinking back over the last 3 years for you, because that's where you were 3 years ago. What are some of your best tips to a youngster getting right out of college, super motivated to win in real estate, and jumping in and throwing an open house and working open houses?
Yeah, so first of all, let me just say you look like a professional news correspondent right now. I'm just waiting for like a tornado to touch down behind you and you be like calling into like CNN right now. love the backdrop. I wish I had something like that, but I'm in my pouring. So yeah, there isn't, as a whole in our industry, which is why I started a team, there isn't training. There isn't training for open houses. There isn't training on how to write a contract. There isn't training on what to do when you get your BRE. You literally get your real estate license, a business card, and they say go. And some of the tips that I tell my agents is, first of all, don't be afraid to just get out there. A lot of people have so many objections for themselves to just, I don't want to do an open house. What if nobody shows up? What if I say the wrong thing? You know, you have a license for a reason. You really can't say the wrong thing, and if nobody shows up, no problem. Do your prospecting calls while you're sitting there. It's never a waste of time. And remember, you know, you talked about what to wear. I walked into, so what I did was when I was getting my license, I was actually pregnant with my third son, and I kind of did like some recon. So I would go into open houses before anybody knew who I was, and I would look around and see what the agents were doing, what they were wearing, how it made me feel, and so I got a lot of tips on what not to do. Not necessarily things to do, but I remember sometimes I would leave the open houses feeling really good, jamming information down my throat, and I realized that that's not what I don't want to do. And you are making a really good, you're making your first impression, so dress for success. You know, don't wear your sweatpants to an open house. Don't wear, you know, your Michael Jordan, you know, shoes. Like, dress like you're a professional, and people, you know, you look the part, you play the part, people will think that you know what you're doing, even if sometimes inside your head you're like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Love that. Hey, we just got a question from Frank, and he said, what are the best ways lenders, you know, mortgage reps can help a realtor do an open house and get leads as well? So that's a question from Frank. How would you respond? Okay,
so I think you've heard me say this before, Dave. Put my open house signs out. I will love you forever if you put my open house signs out for me. It's like the worst part about an open house. So you do that, you already get brownie points. But the other thing is I always do my open houses with a partner, not just for safety, but also because if it gets really busy, I want to make sure that I'm not losing any really good leads. So sit there, you know, be in the trenches with your real estate partners, you know, go to the open houses, bring your app, you know, pre-qualify people right there on the spot. Like, that's so powerful. If someone walks in, I can promise you they may be going to or have been to 5 other open houses. You're going to be the only one there with a solid realtor and a solid lender who's going to pre-qualify you on the spot and be able to show you what your mortgage is going to look like on that house.
No doubt. So being a mortgage coach, having your app to be able to educate families around options, you like that. It helps get leads.
Oh, absolutely. And it looks, you know, it makes you look like you know so much more than you actually do. Like, I can calculate mortgage rates in my head, but I plug it into the app and I can show them 3 different scenarios of what they could do right then and there. And I'm not the lender, so I don't like speaking to that, but if you're there with the real estate agent, the 2-part conversion that you're able to capture a lead on the lending side as well as capture it for your referral, your realtor partner is huge.
Now, I know you use an app and you have some scripting that you use so that when people come in, you've got an app, you've got some scripting, you have a way that you're capturing those leads. If you could kind of walk us through that process to get a family into your app experience, into your follow-up experience, what's that sound like and how do you roll?
Yeah, so when prospective buyers walk through, we have them sign in on the iPad. So we tell them that, you know, we're green, we're a green company, we don't have paper flyers. If they're interested in receiving a flyer on the home, all they have to do is sign in, and I would say 99% of the time that gets people to sign in. Because they'll ask a question, you know, how many bedrooms is this? Or is this 4th bedroom count as a bedroom on tax records? And I say, oh, did you sign in and get the e-flyer? And they're like, oh, no, an e-flyer. And I said, yeah, go ahead and sign in, and it'll text you an e-flyer. And we use the Open House app for that, which integrates with our back-end CRM. So right then and there, I'm making sure that the data that I have is accurate, because if they didn't get the flyer, it means they gave me a fake number. If they signed in with a fake name, I can say, hey, Jesus Christ, because that's, I don't know, a very popular name to sign in with, Jesus Christ. Hey, Jesus Christ. And they're like, huh? I'm like, oh, your real name's not Jesus Christ? What is it? So right there, you're verifying the information, and you're making sure that even though you don't convert them right then and there at the open house, you have enough information to be able to convert them at a later time, and that data is accurate.
Love it. Tina, any questions?
Yeah, so I was thinking in my own experience with hosting open houses, I think the biggest challenge that I've dealt with is just making sure that we get really great traffic. So I'm curious, like, what timelines, locations, house types, neighborhoods, like, tell us all the tips to have an open house that is as likely to have as many people through the door as possible.
Yeah, so I prefer vacant homes on a busy street where I can put my signs in a busy intersection. So maybe it's not necessarily on a busy street, but it's right off of a busy intersection where they're going to see my signs. And then we also do advertising on Facebook, social media. We put it out on YouTube. We're making sure that it's out on the syndicating out to all the big Zillow, Redfin, Trulia, because that's where people are on. They're on their devices, right? If they're not on my device, my app, which is links to my CRM, they're on the Redfin, they're on the Zillow. So making sure that they're out there on the internet. And then signs. Signs are huge. You know, the average agent, I think, puts out like 3 or 4 signs. I'd put out as many as 12 or 15 sometimes. And it would be every corner getting them to come to my open house, because you never know in which direction someone's going to be coming from. And they'll follow the signs. I always ask people when they come in, I say, hey, how did you hear about the open house? And I would say a lot of people say, I just followed the signs here. I didn't even know what was going on. And then also, it's a scarcity factor, right? So we do a neighborhood preview. And what that means is we go and we door knock before the open house, 10 houses to the right, 10 houses to the left, 10 houses in front, and 10 houses in back. So right there, you're door knocking 40 people and inviting them to a neighbor preview and letting them know, hey, this house is going to be open from 12 to 4. We're asking you to come from 12 to 2 as a neighbor, so that you can come through. I know you want to see your neighbor's home. We can talk about your value and how the sale of this is going to affect you. And then so we have all these neighbors there. So when consumers come in, actual buyers, they go, holy crap, this is a really busy open house. Like, I want this house because everybody else is here. They don't have to know that it's the neighbors. So creating that the traffic is huge. And it doesn't necessarily be qualified buyers. It can be anyone, because when that one qualified buyer does walk in, it looks like it's like a rockin' open house. And the neighbors think that you're really, really awesome at what you do, because they're looking around going, holy crap, there's a lot of people here. I've never been to an open house this busy before.
I love it. I'm curious if you've noticed any difference between Saturdays and Sundays, and just any nuance of time of day that works best.
I have noticed, and it's market to market. So Solano County has 3 distinct cities. So in Vacaville, which is a very family-oriented community, we find Sunday afternoons are really busy. In Beliveau, we find Saturday midday, less families, more working class, and a lot of single family, single people who haven't quite started their family. So I would say that you probably need to do an analysis on your market and track the traffic over a period of time and see what works best for your individual market.
What about you mentioned, the midweek ones that are interesting? Is there one day or one that you think is just the best? Is it Friday? Is it Wednesday? Is it, something midweek? What's your number one midweek time and event?
So during the summer months, I like my Twilight Thursdays. It's dusk. People are coming home from work. They say Thursday is the new Friday. People, especially in our community, work from home a lot on Friday, so they're not in a super rush to get home. So I get a lot of success in the summer months on the Thursday twilight, and then when school is in, what I call Wacky Wednesdays, there's early release in our county on Wednesdays, and so I literally put like 4 open house signs in front of every elementary school in the area and point them towards my open house, and we get a ton of traffic from the Wacky Wednesday open houses.
Love that. And someone just asked, what is the name of the app that you're using? Could you give us a specific name real quick?
So I currently use Commissions Inc., which is our CRM, which captures information. Prior to having that robust CRM, I just use the Open House app, and I think it's like $12 for the entire year. But it's branded, so you can put the actual house that you're holding open on the sign-in screen, and then you can send out an e-flyer immediately. So just Open House app, but I currently use Commissions Inc.
All right, and then also, if you're watching this on a recording, I did an 18-minute interview with Nicole on Skype, which was just focused on open houses. I'm going to put a link below. And for all you mortgage professionals, make sure you have the Mortgage Coach app installed for educational purposes. So one last question, and then we're going to get on to Facebook with Tina. So Jeremy posted this, by the way, on Facebook. I said, hey, anybody have a question out there? And Jeremy wanted me to ask you, obviously he's one of your loan officers. He's a big mortgage coach, Jeremy Portier. What does he do to earn your business? And what advice do you have to other loan officers to be more like Jeremy? He didn't say it just like that, but something like that.
Well, no one can be like Jeremy because he is super amazing. But, you know, I went to actually a training yesterday that Jeremy put on. His company put it on, and Bill Hart was there. And he said something that really made me start thinking about our industry as a whole, what I do as a real estate professional and what lenders do in the lending world. And it was, don't prescribe before you diagnose. And he did this beautiful anecdote of a man who goes into the doctor and his foot hurts and his foot's been hurting for 6 months, and the doctor's like, hey, you know, cool, nice to meet you, man. Come take a look at this heart machine that I have. It's cutting edge, state of the art, and hey, check out our pharmaceuticals that we have. They're amazing. I can fix anything that you have, any ailment. And he's like, but I'm not interested in your heart machine. My foot hurts. And he said, the anecdote was, don't prescribe before you diagnose. I think that everybody in our industry gets so excited about the product that they have to sell. Like, I'm great, use me, use me, use me. I can close on time, I can wet fund, I can blah, 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 blah. All that information isn't relevant to me because you don't know what my pains are. And Jeremy does a really good job of asking good questions up front. And the way that he states his questions, which I think you did an interview with him, you know, 5 questions that you ask every realtor, and that's awesome. Like, if you can just manage those questions and lean in and realize like what my pains are, because my pains as a team leader with 18 agents that I'm trying to provide leads to and motivate is different than the millennial agent who's concentrating on military relocation. But that same loan officer can service us in the same way as long as they diagnose and then prescribe.
Love that. And by the way, I'm going to put a link to that interview I did with Jeremy. It was a Skype interview less than a month ago. It was, Jeremy, what questions do you ask realtors when you have a meeting? Down below, check it out. So first of all, you're in the game. Now you're going to kind of switch, and we're going to question Tina. Tina, you built your practice, you know, with Facebook as really your first CRM. And I know that because I interviewed you a long time. Super cool story. The first interview I did with Tina a couple years ago, I mean, it's not dated. Check it out. I'll put a link below to it. But how are you using Facebook today? What are some ideas? I can pull up some of those posts that you forward over to me, and just give us some advice on how a modern mortgage professional and a modern realtor are leveraging Facebook to crush it.
Yeah, well, I'll say some of the basics I shared in the last interview haven't changed, so I'll touch on them again. The first thing is that I connect with everyone on Facebook as soon as I get in relationship with them, and you know, if they choose to not accept the friend requests until after closing or whatever the case may be, I leave that to them, but I'm make an effort to connect right away. So kind of my system is to connect right away and bucket and categorize everyone depending on the relationship that we have. So I use friend lists very religiously inside my Facebook. So I tag everyone who is a client or potential client. And then once someone gives us a referral, they go into like a VIP status with our team. So I have an additional tag for that because I often have content or messaging that I want to send only to those people, especially if we're doing like VIP events or things like that. So from the beginning, that it's just making sure that I'm connecting with people. And then the neat thing is once you have them tagged, you can go through a feed of only those people because, you know, Facebook gets noisier and noisier every day, especially lately. So I like to be able to just go to those people and make sure I'm not missing anything. So just from like a relationship management standpoint, those are some like simple habits that I put in place and just continue to do. And then the other thing is I use Facebook as a point of contact to actually maintain a real live, like true relationship before, during, and after closing. So when clients get married, when they have babies, when they get engaged, when they lose a family member or a pet, anything happening, when they get a big award or an honor, those are all opportunities for me to not just like or comment, which is what everyone else is doing, but either send them a handwritten personal note, send them a text message. I'm big on, if it's a client, I usually don't wish them happy birthday on Facebook. I either call or text them depending on the relationship, and just use those points of contact to relate with them. One of my biggest pains is years back I was closing, I don't know, like 60 or 70 units a year, and it was 80% buyers, which was kind of interesting in and of itself, but that would probably be a different topic for another day. But the thing that really kind of killed me is that after closing, I would miss them, and I would miss the connection, because the relationship just changes when you're not in like daily or weekly communication. So for me, Facebook is a way to actually not just continue the relationship, but make it even deeper by staying engaged with them on like the really important stuff that's happening in their life. So I tend to connect with people on Facebook and Instagram, but I am a big believer in mastering one thing and doing that really well versus being on like 8 different platforms and not being able to pay attention. So Facebook has been my mainstay since 2007, and I don't see that changing anytime soon, but it depends on what the future brings. But we have a process in place in addition to that to make sure that upon closing, everyone gets friended. So if I miss it, just like in the busyness of day to day, and I'm out of production. I haven't been on a listing or buyer appointment for a year. So right now, I just get reminders from the admin staff on our team every single month to go and friend everyone that our team represented, regardless of the source of business or whatever the case may be. So I've built a lot of relationships with clients that I've never talked to or never even met, that just know my team through that same system. And then I'm just very purposeful about staying in touch. So there's kind of like the relationship piece and then the marketing piece, which we can go to next. But hopefully that gives like the big picture of how I roll.
So let's do this. We've got some posts that we're going to go through. But before we do those posts, I'm going to give it to Dan, and then I'm going to give it to Nicole for a question. So Dan, any questions for Tina, and Nicole, you're next.
Yeah, which, by the way, Tina knocks it out of the park on this topic. We were on a call, what was that, like a year ago? It had to be a little over a year ago, because I was in Disneyland at the time with my family, and I remember recording that with you. I learned a lot from that call, and what I did learning from you is I understood the groups, the list, the Facebook groups, Facebook lists, but checking in on those regularly, it's been huge for my business, because now I can keep tabs. Same thing, I have my assistant friend everybody now, which I used to think would be annoying, and then I got over that, and it's been great, because then hey, now they enjoy following me too, which I never thought they would. So my question to you on these lists or these groups, is it just one? Or do you, like, if you have an awesome time working with, Mr. Buyer, do you put them in kind of like immediately put them into a VIP, or how many different groups or lists do you have?
It's a great question. Right now, it's really just 2 groups. So it's general clients and prospects. And I even bucket in people who are influential and I see as like a good future referral source, and just cultivate them more purposefully there. And then we have a pretty strict system for how someone qualifies for VIP. They have to have given at least 1 referral within the last year, and then if they have done 2 referrals in the last 12-month period, they go up another level. So right now, that's what we're doing. By the end of the year, I'm going to be rolling out a Facebook group just for the VIP people. So I've been studying best practices of what other people are doing, and that'll be the next level for us of providing like consistent, ongoing value.
We just did that 2 months ago. And yeah, we just did that a private. Are you talking about like a private group, Tina?
Yeah.
Yeah, we just did that 2 months ago, and we've gotten incredible feedback where people are asking questions. It's awesome. It's like a little networking group. So I will sync up with you to see how that's going. That's awesome.
Yeah, my biggest vision with that, and why I haven't pulled the trigger and just like opened a group, is I'm building like a plan of like value and all the things that we can give to people through the group, discounts and like inside information, and just making sure it's not for them landing as like, oh, this is just another place where I'm going to get like glorified bits of a newsletter, Yeah,
spammed. Yeah.
I think we could do a whole call on that. Looking forward to that. I made a note. Let's come back to that on another call once you guys have both really nailed some best practices. So, Nicole, any questions for Tina?
Oh gosh, I'm writing so much down. Actually, I have a ton of questions. I'll try to narrow it down. But you talk a lot about being purposeful and making sure that you're adding value, and like you said, not just giving bits of news feed. What is a purposeful post? Like, what are you putting out there to these different groups?
Yeah, it's a great question. So as far as what we're doing...
Time out. Should we pull up your post that you're going to go through right now?
Let's do it.
Yeah, because I think that was the whole idea of these are some purposeful posts. So by the way, Nicole, you get more questions, but we're gonna drive some slides here. So you tell me when to move forward.
Perfect. So yeah, I'll start with these. There's some other things we do. I'll just preface this, the couple slides that we're about to show are what I would put more in the bucket of straight up advertising and promotion. So there's that, and then beyond that, there's everything that we do charitably, which interestingly enough might not seem like value to people, but it's positive and it's meaningful, and it's what's important to me, so I think that just comes through very loud and clear to other people. But that's something that has become a huge part of my social presence just as like a total byproduct of what I do. Then there's promoting how we treat and cultivate our team members, and there's the whole piece of not just looking for referrals for business, but referrals for high quality team members. And then there's adding value back to people, which is more often me interacting with those people and acknowledging the awards they're getting and things like that. So yeah, this is perfect if we can keep this slide and then we can go back. We did a Facebook Live a few weeks back to announce 2 new team members, and it was funny, you know, the unintended side effect of Facebook Live is a prospective seller saw it and was just like, I love that you're doing that. Can you, we'd like to hire you, and can you please do that when we list our house? So the great thing about Facebook Live, which might not be a newsflash to any of you, is that, I feel like it's the most in-your-face version of what you can do on Facebook. A lot of the time people get notified that you're broadcasting live, so it's a great way to get attention and, again, like rise above the noise. And one thing we did that I don't have a screenshot of, but at the beginning of the year, I actually, through a really cool process last year, ended up donating a van to our local SPCA animal rescue here in Maryland. And in the beginning of the year, we had a party to basically surprise announce this van that we had purchased and launch a party and do all of that. And we actually very purposefully did a couple posts leading up to the Facebook Live of the announcement saying, hey, something really big is coming, tune in, giving some hints. So there's a lot of kind of strategy in leading up to the live and then making sure people know to tune in for it. We even emailed people and said, like, I think it was a Thursday at 4 p.m., make sure you're there. And then also being smart about the times that people are more frequently on Facebook. So live is huge. I feel like I still have so much room for improvement on what we're doing, but what we do execute is always noticed. And even when it's about our team growing, there's a conversation we have here in our brokerage all the time about the concept of validity and showing people that what we're doing gets results, what we're doing is special, and there's value there, and there's value back to them. And, showing when we, acquire great agents and talent to join our team, like there's validity there that caused people to want to hire us. And we didn't even talk about yet, the low days on market and the high list to sold price ratio and all the things that you would normally think a seller would want. And they want you to market their house. And they want to know that you are doing it and that you're on the leading edge and that you're proactive instead of reactive. So it's amazing how these little things can kind of tick all those boxes. So if you want to go backwards, yeah. So this is just an example of, I tend to just pick listings that we've listed. I don't do every house. I'm really big on having a healthy mix of business and personal content on my Facebook. I pretty much only use my personal profile. We have a business page. I am a big believer in getting an awesome return on investment on everything that I do, and there's nothing better than an exponential infinity investment on paying nothing. So I tend to funnel everything through my personal page, but for that reason, I certainly don't put up every house we list, or people would unfollow me in an instant. So I try to pick ones that are interesting or where I know there's like a really good segment of our database that live there or interested in that neighborhood. This is a really hot neighborhood, so put this up, try to use some sort of emoji and or eye-catching hashtag, and always our team hashtag. And it's funny, it's just being just habits like this. I got 2 buyer leads from it. One of them's a past client who's looking for an investment property. I had no idea he was looking to do that, but it's just being on their radar and them actually seeing that we have something of value to offer, even if it's just a great listing. And then if we want to go to the next, and then the next. And then this is a post that I put up just a couple days ago. We are looking to hire yet another operations person. Our team is rapidly growing after it's been neat. I stopped selling houses a year ago and basically replaced myself within the team, and we're now in a process of, you know, going on the next curve of exponential growth. So really getting that message out there, and I'm a big believer in telling people what to think and telling my own story and not leaving it up to chance or what other people might say. So for here, it's just, you know, being really direct that we're growing, and you can't necessarily see it, but it says we need a few more people to keep taking over the world, which we talk about a lot. So just being really thoughtful. I made that graphic in WordSwag, which is one of my favorite apps for making eye-catching stuff. I try to have a graphic with everything I post because people don't really like to read text, but we can at least catch their attention with something interesting. And, you know, right away I got several high-quality candidates that matched what I actually asked for there versus just people that were generally interested in career opportunities. And then we have one more, and then this is in the similar category of the other one I showed. This is a house in a really nice neighborhood in the zip code that I live in, and just put it up there. It was a really cool house on the interior, and you know, people love to look at beautiful houses. It probably seems obvious, but it amazes me. We're all craft other creative things, and then people just want to look at great houses. So even if you don't have your own good inventory, get permission from someone else in your office or brokerage to share their listing. In my view, I would always want someone to do that because it just gets extra exposure. And then this last one is a good example of just being really strategic about the story that we're telling. So I don't have any leads I tracked off this specifically, but hitting all the key points, which is how many days we sold it in, that we got great terms. We have a program called TBG Seller Select. We have a very concierge type approach to working with sellers where we basically do everything and then some to prepare their house at no additional cost. So making sure that that name always gets referenced, tagging the client so it shows up in their entire news feed, and then tagging the referral source so it shows up in their news feed. And so they also get that like behavioral reinforcement and acknowledgement for referring. And then a call to action every time. So I do my best to do at least 1 to 2 posts like that every single month to make sure people never forget that we are the best listing agents in town.
Love it. Nicole, any questions around those posts or more questions for Tina?
I think I'm going to talk to Tina offline because I've gotten like, so do you do paid posts, and if you do, what is your ROI on that?
Yeah, so that's something where I will say I feel to be successful at anything, one should follow a proven system and model, and I haven't found that model. I know that it's out there, but it hasn't been like the main focus. It's just amazing, like every time I want to take on a new lead gen tactic, I just find a way to go deeper. So this is like a totally different answer to the question than you're asking, but what I've had the biggest aha in the last year is someone put this book in my hands called The Golden Handoff. And it was written by a Keller Williams agent out on the West Coast, and it's about acquiring other people's databases in a really purposeful strategy. So that is something that really resonated with me for a way for us to gain market share, but not necessarily have to be doing so many different things with our lead gen strategies. So I've just finalized my first 2 database acquisitions, and I anticipate adding at least 60 to 80 units annually to our team right away. And I'm realizing it's like just the beginning of something that I don't hear anyone talking about, which is, you know, executing like a 36 touch and then showing other agents how well we convert database business and growing that way. So I'm a big believer also in leveraging my time and energy, and as I'm sure most people realize after a while, there is somewhat of a cap of what you can do with your own database and your own minutes. And I've become really interested in how can I leverage other people's databases and their minutes and their brand and grow something bigger. So I think Facebook is a way to do that on the personal side, again, without really spending any money, and continuing to have an amazing profit margin, which I love.
So it's not a question, but I do love what you said about, I forget how you said it exactly, but I wrote down controlling your own narrative. You're able to put out there what you want people to see, and so there's not speculation. So I know that when you're a top producer in a market, people are wondering, like, what is that team doing? What is that person doing? And you're controlling that, which I love. So it's not a question, but I just want to say that I love that you control your own narrative, just like Jay-Z did.
Yep.
So a couple house cleaning, and then Dan, I'm going to throw a question to you. So one, this is recorded. There were a few people that didn't see the post. You're probably seeing our computer screen. You need to click on the GoToWebinar icon so that everything pops up. But they will be available if you watch the recording. A few people have asked for different links to the videos that we've referenced. Those will all be down below. So this call itself is recorded, will be posted. And in the description in YouTube, there will be links to everything mentioned here. So those will be here. Also, if you were watching this on a recording and you got a takeaway, like it and share it with your mortgage friends. Let's get the word out. I think this has been an awesome call already, and we still have 20 minutes left. So Dan, any questions for Tina?
Yeah, so I follow up here in Seattle. There's a lot of real estate agents that I'm connected to on Facebook, and I know their production, and they make it sound like they're busier than they really are. I think a lot of agents do that. One of the great things that I love about following Tina, because Tina and I have been friends for a couple of years, is it's the energy that you give off, Tina, that you're having fun. You're having fun around your clients. You're having fun on your job, and you're having fun growing other people too. And I don't care. I know why that seller responded to a post, or people are attracted to that, and they want to be a part of that, and they want to be a part of something big and something moving. And so big kudos to you. I just love following you and seeing all the great things that you're doing. You inspire me every single day. I'm like, dang man, I'm slacking compared to this girl, and she's like 10 years younger than me. So but you know, one of the questions I think Nikki just asked is, have you jumped into the Facebook ads? Or not Nikki, is it Nick? Yeah, Nicole, sorry, didn't want to
Nicole.
Nicole was Facebook ads, and so you answered it. That was a big question of mine, if you've leveraged that yet, and how that's working out for you. So I'm good. Other than that, I just wanted to share that I love following you.
Thank you. I think you brought up kind of something I didn't even think about, but that same video announcement where we announced our new team members, one of the new team members, you know, she was tagged in it, so her whole sphere saw it. And, you know, she's been trying to bring referral business to the team right away. That's one of her accountabilities. And she said, after that video posted, I reached out to some people, and they said they saw the video and they were so inspired. Not like I'm so great, but they were inspired by me. They liked my energy, and then they automatically wanted to refer to the team. And what matters about that is not me, but the fact that I think when you really leverage that video, people feel like they know you, even though they just met you a second ago. So I feel like I've resisted it. There's something like really controlled about being able to like post a picture and find like just the right wording and like architect it all to like be the message that I want it to be. But video is like 10 times more vulnerable and authentic. And so for us, that's without a doubt the next level for moving all of our newsletters and communication to video as much as possible, which is really what you're the expert on, Dan. I'm just finally joining the party.
You know, well, Dave and I have talked about this a lot, and it's super clear with you. None of this is just wing. Like, you're not going to, hey, we're going to do a Facebook Live today, or hey, we're going to do this Facebook post today. It's centered around, like you said, a couple of times a month, property, and then maybe one educational, informative, one on the team, one on your clients. And so I think anyone listening needs to understand that you actually put some time and energy and effort into this. This isn't just like you woke up and decided to do this today. And the same thing with me with video. I mean, every single one of my videos, my weekly videos, has 1 to 2 weeks of planning that precedes it. So I think that's a big aha too, that people need to understand that you get, both of you guys, you don't just wing an open house. This is a structured plan, and that's what I love. This is going to be probably one of the best videos that Dave's produced. This is incredible.
So Nicole, I'm going to give you a question. Folks have over and over asked about questions around business page versus personal. I want to try to net it out, but I want to get your clarity on it. So it sounds to me like personal is your base camp, and when people, you know, come into your world as a customer, you're adding them to your personal page. Yes, that's right, Tina. Are you also adding them, inviting them to your business? So are you doing both or just one?
To be honest, I haven't put a lot of energy into the business because even when you put those posts up, you have to pay for more than 3% of your people to see them. And it just hasn't made sense for me.
Got it. So you have a business page, but it's just there. You're not investing a lot of strategy in it. You're just kind of reposting things that you're doing in your personal. Your personal is your core strategy.
Correct. I will say, though, we're doing a little bit more and more with Instagram, which, again, is easily seen. It's not filtered the way Facebook is yet. But I think if there was a place to invest more now, I think it makes more sense just from investing from a time standpoint, because people see those posts every time if they're following you.
Got it. And then I think it's safe to assume everybody on this call is leveraging video in a purposeful way in your real estate practice, and you know, Dan and I, we leverage video. Is that right? Are you guys both leveraging video a lot within your practice and how you're telling your story, how you're delivering value? Okay, someone had that question. All right. So by the way, keep the questions coming. We're right at the 15-minute mark. So we got 15 more minutes of questions. Feel free to post them. Nicole and Tina, I want to make sure you guys get to riff on this. So Nicole, question, and then you guys go back and forth. I'll interrupt if either one of you guys runs out of questions for each other, or two, if the audience posts something. So Nicole, you're up.
You mentioned that on your business page that you have to pay for more than 3% of your audience to see that. So you use your personal page more. Do you kind of censor what you put out there? Because I know that like a lot of my friends are like, I love Trump, I hate Trump, I love Trump, I hate Trump, I love guns, I hate guns. Like what do you censor?
It's funny, like that's the thing. I had to give up a few years ago that Facebook was fun for me, if that makes any sense, because it's pretty sanitized. There's no opinion, there is no negativity ever. I don't get into anything. It's just like very vanilla, and I don't mind because I think it just works really well for me. And I just cringe. Just the other day, I saw an agent, and it was just all about politics, and I was just like, I don't want to look at that. And I know a lot of people do, actually. So like attracts like, but like my tribe of people seem to be drawn to not just the success of the business, but like just sort of my personality and my personal life. That was one thing I wanted to touch on. My most liked posts are pictures of me and my husband. So I always tell him, like, people just really want you, Andrew. But like, people want to know about my personal life, especially if they're actually a relationship and not this like business communication. So pictures of him, anyone that follows me knows I've got a couple Labradors that make their way into everything. Everything we're doing charitably, fun stuff. So I really I'm very open with my personal life, just not anything negative or divisive or anything like that. And I do have like a close friends version of my friend list also. So if I really want to put something up that isn't for public consumption, I do that. But then it's just, why even put it on Facebook? So I'm crazy careful about what I put out there. And people notice. What about your experience with that? I went through your Facebook feed very thoroughly a few days ago. It was great. Like, I'm blown away by your success in 3.5 years. It's just amazing. So I need to fly out and hang out with you as soon as possible, but we can talk about that later. But I'm curious, what is your strategy with your social media, and is there any best practice or things you've noticed that work well for you, whether it relates to open houses or the 18 team members you have and how you found them? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I'm like you. I like to show people that we are fun, that we're normal people. Like, we're not aliens over here doing something crazy or strange. Like, we're just doing business. I think that I had to start putting that out when a lot of people were calling me and saying, how are you getting all of this business? What are you doing? Like, there's no secret. We show up, we work hard, and we play hard. And putting that out there, I think a lot of people have a lot more respect. And then you said this word so many times when you were talking about Facebook. You said it shows your vulnerability. And it's true, because people love seeing that you're a vulnerable person, that you're real, that you're not, even though I'm going to close 300 transactions this year, like, I'm a real person. I'm a mom. I have a husband. I have friends. probably drink more than I should. Like all those things about me that shows that I'm like a real person, and that's what I try to be really purposeful about when I put stuff out there, to show that we're a really fun group. I have a fun family. My family loves me. My friends, just to show that I'm a real person and an awesome realtor.
That's great. Just as sort of a follow-up question, I'm just curious, like, do you focus pretty much exclusively on open houses as your primary lead gen tactic, or do you have like a secondary pillar that is pretty strong for you?
So both. We do referrals. So we do past client referrals, which is a big chunk of our business. Now that I have past clients, I can do that. And I see why everybody said you should focus on past client referrals, because they are really, really solid referrals. If someone's referring their mom, their brother, their sister, their friend, their neighbor, you better bet they're referring them to someone that they know, like, and trust. And then open houses, huge. And then I'm also big on geographic farming.
Tell us a little bit, go ahead, Dave.
Go ahead. No, you get to go first. I do have a question for the audience, but until you guys are done.
Yeah, I just think there's like so much power in combining your farm with your open house strategy and really like having all of that work together. I'm curious, like, is there anything you're doing there that's working well, even just like some systems or best practices for people that are already farming and maybe could up their open houses or vice versa?
Yeah, so I'm big on good old-fashioned free door knocking. Get out there and show your face and door knock and give an item of value and be in the community, especially when you have a geographic farm that's unique. Like we have an area here that I farmed when I was in production that was owned by one real estate agent, and everybody always said, don't go after a farm that's owned by one real estate agent. I'm like, but I really want it, so I'm going to do it. And now I own that territory, and I did it by going out there and showing my face and getting to know community and then letting the community know who I am. And that agent wasn't doing that. They were just kind of they were the person that they would call, and I would ask, why are you calling, totally not this person's name, but why are you calling Susie? And they would say, well, it's when there's a house to sell, Susie's signs are in the ground. And, I showed my value to them and my value proposition by going out there and being face-to-face, showing up to community events and letting them know I'm here and I can do a really good job for you guys, even though I don't have a ton of signs in the ground right now.
So someone had a question that, everybody on this call, for the most part, does a lot of business on their personal Facebook page. And they said, aren't you worried that friends will get tired of your work posts and stop following you? So, and then I have one question for you, Dan, that just came in from Mark. But what are your thoughts on that balance? If each of you could do like a minute on the balance between business and personal on Facebook. Tina, why don't you go first, since you're the Facebook expert today?
Sure. So my first thing is I attempt for no more than 30% business, and that waxes and wanes, and sometimes I'll be like, it's been too much business, and then I'll course correct a little bit. So that's one thing. The second thing is, for me, Facebook is pretty clear for me that it's a business tool. So if a real friend doesn't want to follow me there, like, I'm really okay with that, because I know on the flip side, I'm picking up a lot of people that are either interested in the market or are invested in the mission of the Beliveau group and what we do on a community level and animal rescue and just helping people and, the value we provide. So I just have an abundance mindset. I'm not worried about the unfollows, but at the same time, I make sure that it's not this one-sided depiction of advertising. It's just, I try to always make it might not be valuable to see a picture of a pretty house, but at least make it interesting to look at.
Love it. Nicole?
Yeah, I agree. I think that you shouldn't put out there on Facebook, everything I touch turns to sold. Look at me, me, me. I think that if you have a good balance of showing the personal side and the business side, but when it is business, make it fun. Like, don't necessarily say sold, sold, sold. Look at what we did. Say, I helped this family and here's their story. Or we have a new team member coming on and here's their story. Like, people love stories. And if you share interesting content, even if it is a really pretty house with a story, then people aren't going to get tired of the posts.
Love it. Dan Keller.
Yeah, I think it's really big. I said this from the stage at Mastery a couple of years ago. When people follow me, if all they know and all they learn is that I love Jesus, I love my wife, I want to be the best dad and husband possible, and I absolutely love my job. If the mortgage industry went away tomorrow, I would be devastated. I love everything I do around it. And so if people that follow me can see that, that's the message that I want to get across. Is it always broken down 1/4% each? No, sometimes because of the timing, I've made 4 or 5 mortgage-related posts, but then I follow it up with something great that Jenny and I are doing, or the family. But the other thing is too, and I know Nicole and Tina kind of are cautious about this too, but it's never pitchy or salesy. If you see me posting, Dave, you follow me. If you see me posting anything about mortgage or what I do, it's educational based. It's making sense of the market. It's like, this is what you need to know about buying a vacation home. It's summer, so I've been talking a lot about vacation homes and investment homes. But it's how to. It's not like, call me, I can help you buy your next home. It's educational first. Passion is seen through that. And as a result, 27% of my business last year came from social media and Yelp. That's insane.
Bam. So, and my answer to that, so I'm also, I love what you said, Tina. I'm pretty clear on why I'm on social, and it's business. And now, by the way, if your reason you're on social is social, I think you're going to have a different approach. The 4 of us are on Facebook for business. I mean, me, I'm 80-20 business. I'm on Facebook, and I publish on Facebook to be an evangelist for the Mortgage Coach mission. And I do try to, you don't see me driving like demos, sign up for a Mortgage Coach demo. I'm pushing, the Mortgage Coach mission. I'm shining a light on an educational event or something that's Mortgage Coach. So I think that's the answer. I want to close with something I'm passionate about, and that is just, I am really clear that the realtor of the future and the lender of the future needs to be a coach, needs to be an advisor, and needs to leverage tech very appropriately. And both of the real estate professionals on today's call do that. Obviously, Dan Keller and the Mortgage Coach community do that. Dan, we had a question come in with one person that asked about the Mortgage Coach rep versus own. Do you have it on your website? And how do you integrate that into either open house experiences or realtor experiences? If you could just cover that for a minute or two, and then we'll do some closing thoughts.
Yeah, so what I've done with Mortgage Coach and my real estate partners is I've taken it kind of a little bit to more of an advanced level. So if, for example, Tina, you're listing a home, and in our area, it's a higher end home. I'm going to have a flyer that basically is going to be centered around how to sell your home and buy this home. So that's the heading: how to sell your existing home and purchase this home. So there's larger down payment options. If it's more of, let's say, Nicole, for example, you're listing a $300,000, maybe a first-time homebuyer type home, it's how to buy this home. And so I'll put together renting at $1,550 a month versus a mortgage at $1,850 a month. You can see there's a net equivalent of basically it's break even. So I'll change my approach with real estate agents as it relates to the homes, the open house flyers, and the homes that they're listing. I hope does that answer the question?
Yeah, absolutely. So a couple of reminders. Every single Friday now at 9 o'clock Pacific, we do a mastermind around productivity. This is how to save time, how to be more productive. It was inspired by the joint venture I did with Darren Hardy to create and save productivity with Mortgage Coach. So, if you aren't already signed up, if you aren't part of our Facebook private group, you are invited. Anyone that's interested in being more productive, realtor or loan officer, sign up for our Friday class. You can either go to our calendar or actually sign up for that private Facebook group. Also, next Tuesday, so same time next Tuesday, I'm going to be interviewing Danny Harani and Sam Hansen from the Gaylord Hansen team, one of the absolute most successful teams in America based out of San Diego. And we're going to really be drilling down on what is the perfect realtor meeting. What are the questions that you ask? What's the conversation that you have? What is the checklist of excellence? If you're going to get to meet with, a Tina, or a Nicole, how do you plan? How do you execute when you get up to bat with one of the best realtors in America? So with that said, I'm going to push a poll. Let us know what you thought of today's call. Did we surpass your expectations with value? Solid takeaways. If you're a guest to this call and you want to demo to learn more about Mortgage Coach, click the last option. So by the way, Tina, thank you so much for making time to be on this call. Nicole, thank you. We're really grateful that you come back and you're not just giving value to other realtors, you're giving value to lenders. So that makes you guys pretty special as agents. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
And Dan, thank you as always for coming in and being my co-host. Dan, you came in and helped me out a couple weeks ago when I was traveling, and I really, really appreciate it, brother. Anyways, have a great day, everybody. Hopefully you have a fantastic week, and don't miss the next Mortgage Coach educational opportunity. Bye, everybody.
Bye.